And not to mention, I mean, of all the players in the NBA, that who would I not want to get in the fight with? Draymond was really high on that list. So
Yeah.
him just he he clocked Poole.
What are they gonna say now? What are they gonna say now?
All right, welcome to the What Are They Going to Say Now podcast. This is Jay and Tony, and we are going to talk about a lot of different things today, but mostly the biggest drama taking over the league, the Draymond Jordan Poole punch. And then we're going to talk about our MVP predictions, most improved player, rookie of the year, and also looking in the future a little bit with Victor Wembanyama and say that correct, Victor Wembanyama,
Yama? Wembanyama? I think.
Wembanyama.
I don't
So
know.
we'll talk about all that stuff. So, all right, let's just go right into it. We said we're both Warriors fans, which if you've started following this at all, you know, but we didn't want to make it Warrior centric. But let's be honest, it's the biggest story of the NBA is Draymond Green
Hmm.
punching punching Jordan Poole just badly, badly. And he had the press conference since then. Very interesting. It's he definitely owned up to it, and but it's still very vague. Everyone's been speculating, so much speculation about contracts because the Warriors have to sign. They really can only sign two or three guys. It's Draymond, Wiggins, or Poole, and that's a whole conversation to unpack. But he said that had nothing to do with it, which I actually kind of believe. I actually kind of believe that because I think NBA players are pretty good about like they want to see everyone get their bag and take it from there. Maybe not. Maybe I don't 100% believe it, but I think it's maybe not a primary focus.
Right. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can say that that doesn't factor in at all. I feel like maybe I agree. I think he would prefer that, Poole gets paid, Wiggins gets paid, everybody gets paid. But I think he may also feel like they might be prioritizing Poole and Wiggins a little bit more than him. And I don't know. I just got the feeling from nothing he said at the press conference or anything like that, but just kind of like some of the frustration may have been he feels like he's not getting his due after winning 4 titles for them, that they're kind of putting him on the back burner a little bit. I don't know if that's fully fair. Being that they have what $300 million payroll, whatever they have, it's you can't say
Oh,
that they're
it's
not.
way more than that with the luxury tax.
Right, right, exactly. So you can't say that they're not putting their money where their mouth is, but they can't pay everyone the max. They can't do it. So um, whatever his reasons were, and he also mentioned that there were some personal issues, some things going on that he came in with that day and brought in,
See, that's what I
that
think is interesting.
yeah,
I don't know what he's alluding to exactly, and people are
no one
speculating, and
does.
it's
Yeah,
really irresponsible.
right.
Like, oh,
But
talking about him having
but
a drinking problem. I'm like, no, I don't think
no,
so.
yeah. I mean, it could be anything. It'd
I saw that
be
on
reckless
ESPN.
for
They're
us to
talking about
speculate.
like drinking.
Yeah,
It's like, no, he doesn't really come off that way.
right.
Actually,
But there's the what happened. There's no excuse for what happened. Really, nothing Jordan could have said that would say, oh, okay, well that was warranted. Like you don't do that to a teammate. You don't really do that to you know, another player, really,
well,
in
not
a
to
game or
mention
anything.
Jordan Poole was his rook. They were
Right.
locker next to each other from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Hmm.
Draymond molded him, so it's hard to even speculate. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Jordan Poole went down to the G League the year before
Hmm.
last,
Hmm.
but then when he came back up, he did really well. And then last year, especially when Steph was out, Draymond showed him the Steph treatment.
Hmm.
I'm going to screen for you. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to set you up. So I don't want to say Draymond made Poole, but he
Hmm.
definitely had a big role in Poole becoming who he was.
Right.
And because every young player needs Jordan Poole's 23 years old. There's no
Yeah.
doubt that Draymond made him a better player than he would be otherwise. He was
Hmm.
like, "This is what Steph does, and this is how we do it. You can shoot." Like this was well discussed last year, right?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
just wonder if there's some like resentment in the. I don't buy that's about money. Draymond's got a ton of money. He's got TNT. He's got Barkley TNT money down the road, like because he's a character and fun to listen to. I think it's about respect,
Mm,
and this is such speculation. Who the hell knows?
right.
If I had to guess, I think it's just a respect thing, and I think maybe Jordan Poole, and I don't want to blame the victim here. Um, maybe he just felt like he felt like Jordan Poole forgot where he came from a little bit or something like that. I have no idea, but
I
that would
mean,
make more sense to me as a guy from
yeah.
Saginaw. Like Draymond, I mean, he's from a bad neighborhood,
Hmm.
and I don't think he cares about money like people make it out to be. I think he cares about respect and that sort of thing. And that's where I would guess it comes from, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think from what we've seen just on the court and some of the off the court practice stuff, and Jordan Poole's a very confident guy, so it could
He's
have
got some
just been,
swag.
yeah, it could have just been talking trash that went a little too far, and but whatever the cause was, or whatever triggered him to do that, there's no excuse. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see what I'm thinking about, what the repercussions of this are going to be. He's talked about taking himself away from the team for a while, which I think that's good of him to say that, but also, like, I don't think that means the team isn't going to take any action on their own, especially now that the video's out. I think
I know
when
the
it was
video,
just
when you
yeah, it
first
was
heard about
just
it,
known
it was
that
one
it
thing. The
happened, it's like one thing.
video,
Yeah, that
and also the
video's
video, I will say, originally I heard Draymond's like, oh, the video being released how it was, it felt like it was making me look worse or whatever. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it was bad. But the lack of audio, I think, is really
yeah.
interesting. Why is there no audio on the video? Why not? Like, wouldn't TMZ have liked the audio on top of it?
Yeah, I mean,
I think
it
that's a
depends
very
who
interesting
who
decision.
recorded it, right? It could have just been an audio
And
only
so if
thing,
I'm
like,
Draymond, I'm very I'm a little like, where'd this come from?
yeah.
And there's two ways of looking at this. You could say, oh, the Warriors organization released this, and it's a leverage play, hurts its value in negotiations for a contract extension. But on the other hand, I mean, the Warriors just won the championship and they're trying to run it back.
Yeah,
So that
this
video
doesn't
coming out, I would also say the other side is that's the last thing they wanted.
right. Kerr
Um,
Kerr seemed very upset. I don't know if you heard his portion
yeah,
of
he
it, but
was not happy about the video coming
he
out.
was
It's
really not happy
practice,
about that. And yeah, I mean, it's basically you don't know what you can trust. You don't know what you can trust if you're telling your team something in confidence. If something gets
right? I heard that.
misinterpreted,
I heard
and
that
then
this morning.
you worry TMZs in every corner of your locker room. I mean, there was some of this
Yeah,
stuff going on with Mark Jackson back in the day. I don't know if you remember that, like
oh
recording
yeah,
some, like some
dude,
where
and
he
that's why
was
Mark Jackson
his
does not
assistant
have another head
coaches
coaching
recording
job.
him, and yeah,
He does not have another head coaching job because of that. Everyone talks about blah blah blah, and it's
right,
that. I mean, the whole thing with Festus Ezeli and
yeah. Oh, I got
oh my,
some
I
buddies
don't
who
want
are
to go
Knicks
down a
fans.
pipeline with that, but I don't
Yeah,
want to. But that was so bad.
yeah. There's some people who question, oh, why isn't he would be a great head coach, and I have to just tell them. I mean, I'm like, listen,
You're
like,
like, look
there's a
up
lot of
Mark
stuff.
Jackson plus Festus Ezeli and read about
Right.
it, and then
Yeah.
you're like, that's why he
Right.
doesn't have another job.
Right. So, but yeah, no, it's just a bad situation, especially because the vibes were so good going into last week.
That's the
It's
biggest
like,
bummer. They're coming off championship that wasn't
yeah,
expected
and a
by
lot of people were
many.
talking repeat. I mean, they
Yeah,
were just,
honestly, I
they
still
still
am.
can,
I still
they
am,
still can. Yeah.
but that's a bummer. So that's why I actually don't think. I think Draymond thinks maybe some higher ups released that video on purpose as like a
Mm,
leverage point. but I don't because I actually think
No.
that makes their job harder.
Right.
So
Right.
I guess neither would surprise me, but actually it would surprise me that I don't think they wanted this. I think it made it worse. They just wanted to
Yeah.
keep it in the house. We were talking about
Mhm.
the whole Boston Celtics situation and about
Right.
how they didn't keep it in the house very well. And the Warriors were kind of trying to do the opposite of that, just keep this in
Mhm.
house and do that.
Right.
And then the video comes out, and the video is so much worse than we all
It's
pictured it.
bad. And I don't
I
think
mean,
I
Draymond
don't
is a
think it's good for
big
anybody. I
dude.
don't think Jordan Poole is happy that that came out. I mean,
Probably not. Draymond has 40 pounds and 6
right.
inches, and like bigger reach too
Right.
on Poole. Like,
Yeah, it's
it's not just a big brother. I mean, Draymond's 32, 33,
yeah.
and Poole's 23. And even if they're the same size, like, look, if there was a fight between two guys and one's in his early 30s, one's in his early 20s, I'd be like,
Mhm.
give me the older guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a certain, it's not old man strength, but it's in that realm of just, and not to mention, I mean, of all the players in the NBA, that who would I not want to get in a fight with? Draymond was really high on that list. So
Yeah.
him just he he clocked Poole. I mean, he
Oh yeah,
clocked him.
I think it, they talk about people kind of losing it and kind of it, just like an out of body thing. I really think he just kind of lost himself in that moment. And I'm not excusing it. I'm saying this is like I feel like
He's an
he
emotional
almost
guy.
immediately, yeah, almost
Yeah.
immediately was like,
I feel
"Oh
like we're never
shit."
gonna really hear the end of it,
Right.
what really happened, and I
Mhm.
think that's probably for the best.
Yeah.
But
Well, and it's just, Draymond i-
and by
he's
the
a
way,
com-
we
he's a
are we are
complicated
both
guy. Right.
we are
Oh,
both big Draymond defenders to the
absolutely.
end. Because I hate they bring up these incidents. They're like, oh, the 2016 finals with LeBron. I'm like, well, no, that's bullshit. Like LeBron was
He baited
teabagging
that.
him.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
teabagging him.
Right.
In the NFL, that's a flag, like a
Right.
penalty for
Yeah.
what LeBron was doing. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't actually
I
fault
mean,
him for that at all. It's like, dude,
he has had
if
other
a guy
things.
steps over, he has. But if a
Yeah.
guy steps over your head and
Right.
he has his nut sack like on your forehead, you're gonna push
Right,
him
right.
off.
You're allowed to
Um,
react, right?
so I will defend him quite a bit, and I've been
Yeah.
a huge Draymond defender, especially people who are box score box score analysts. They're like,
Right.
oh, Draymond doesn't do this. Look at this, he's triple single or whatever, and it's
Mhm.
just like, cool. You don't watch games at all, so you have no idea what you're talking about
Right.
because anyone who
Well,
watches.
it's a
So I've been
fine
such a
line.
Draymond defender,
Yeah.
and this time I can't do it. It's just like,
Right.
oh man,
Yeah.
you killed the vibe. You killed the vibe. They had
Right.
such a good vibe going, and
And
that bums me out.
you feel for him a little bit because it's a fine line. You're asking him to be that fire and that passion and like you don't want to like,
He crossed the line on it.
dim that at all and say, "Okay, well
Yeah.
can you not be yourself?" And because literally like we've seen him try and play like that. Like I feel like Boston in the finals game 3, I want to say.
Oh, that was the whole thing with the whole
Yeah.
and during the finals, and then he was trying to temper it, and it was
And it
clearly in
was
his
just
head, and he
he's
played
just he can't
horribly.
play like that. Right.
Yeah, but then he came back out, and by the way, and he had a couple bad games in the finals, and it's like, oh,
Mhm.
Draymond sucks, and it's like, go watch Game 6.
Did you
Go
see
watch Game 6.
how he ended
He
it?
he,
Or
he went he went 12, 10, and 8 or something like that, and it
right.
was the most
Right.
impactful. It was near triple double. He had a couple blocks. Like he was
Right.
a force in that closeout
Right.
game. Once he put
And
it back
I think that's
together.
something also is, if it was a lesser player and they these incidents occurred,
Oh, you're
that a
gone. You're
teams would
gone.
have dropped them. Yeah, but I mean, you're not dropping one of the greatest defensive players ever and the anchor of a defense for 4-time champion.
Yeah.
You know,
So I
it,
mean, he's super underrated. I'm such a Draymond defender
yeah,
through and through. As this podcast grows, I'm dying to get him on here sometime. That would be amazing.
that would be
Uh,
amazing.
yeah.
But
So I mean, I love
yeah,
Draymond. I'm such a defender of his, and people screw up, and
hmm
I will say, if any locker room in the entire league can handle this, it's the Warriors.
yeah,
And Steph Curry
it's Steph
just
Curry, yeah, Andre
setting the
Iguodala,
tone, and
the
Iguodala. I'm so glad
vets,
he's here now
yeah.
that he didn't retire.
I
I
mean,
think it will be, and also Kevon Looney, I guess, has been
yeah,
instrumental in just like trying to work
right.
it out. People forget like he's been here a long time now,
Yeah,
Uh,
Draymond's gonna have to do a lot of work to repair this, to repair trust, and also Jordan Poole. It's gonna be on him to decide whether this is something they can rectify and it's somebody he can play with because they've made obvious Jordan's someone they want to have in the future.
yeah,
So if that's a
it's
rift that can't
definitely
be repaired,
it's a
then
big brother little brother relationship. It seems
yeah,
like, right? Very much,
right, yeah,
and sometimes it's I'm so curious to find out what really caused all this, and
mm-hmm.
we're never going to hear, which is good.
No, right,
I'd be pretty shocked if we're ever going to hear, and that's
mm-hmm.
fine.
Yeah,
But I think everyone's like, "Oh, the Warriors are screwed now," and it's calm down, come on, like you know, you know who the Warriors have? They have Steph Curry,
yeah, right,
and he settles stuff out. He sets the tone. Other players have said they're really shocked about how he's like the most non-superstar I've ever seen in my life. It's
mm-hmm.
ridiculous. Like he doesn't care, he doesn't demand anything. He's just
Right.
whatever. So he's going to set that tone. The season's going to start, and I think this is going to be water under the bridge at a certain
I hope
point.
so. I hope so.
They might also give Poole his extension a little earlier,
Yeah,
just to be like, okay, we're good.
right.
And it's not to be understated. It's interesting. Poole didn't actually play that much in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to say he averaged not like sub 15 minutes per game.
Mm.
Um, but his minutes are really important because, and we talked about this in the previous episode, being able to create your own offense is so important and it's a really undervalued skill. So, like, you can take
Especially
two
around Steph.
players,
Yeah.
yeah, you can take two players and look at their box score stats and whatever and be like, oh, look, they're the same. You're like, no, this guy creates his own offense
Mm-hmm.
versus getting kicked out to the side. Like Jordan Poole is actually an equally good player without Steph on the floor as with Steph on the floor, which is
Mm-hmm.
almost unheard of.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And I think the Warriors understand that because we saw during I mean, do you remember when Durant goes down in
Mm.
2019
Yep.
and Curry's on the floor and no one can create offense? It
Yeah.
was, I mean, I love Clay. Clay's amazing. He's not a creator in the same
Mm-hmm.
way. He's a facilitator, and he's an amazing one.
Mm-hmm.
Clay's one of my favorite players of all time. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not, but Poole can create his own offense, and that is not to be overlooked. So
Mm.
I think he's going to get an extension in the next week or two. I think we're going to see it,
I could see that.
and yeah, I mean it was already on the agenda, if you will. Um, so I would bet on that happening actually pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's
Did you
I
see his
don't
game? The preseason game too. He went
against
off
the
the other night.
Lakers.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
went off.
Yeah.
He was going for it. So
24 points in 23
yeah.
minutes or just
Anyway,
something
I think this
ridiculous.
whole
Yeah.
thing is being a little overblown. I mean, the punch is not overblown, but I think it's going to be
Right.
water under the bridge, and I think they're going to be just fine.
I hope so. I think it's it's almost better that this happens now instead of, right before the playoffs or you know what I mean, something where it's a little
Right.
more the stakes are a little bigger. It's something they can still work through this season. Whereas if it would have happened later on in the year, it could have been really detrimental. So, but
Yeah.
like I said, it's gonna take Draymond building trust back, and it's gonna take Poole accepting it. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, why don't we move on to what we were originally going to talk about before that came in? Let's talk about our MVP, our award predictions. Let's go with
Okay.
MVP because that's by far the most interesting. I don't really have a prediction, but I want to just talk about the narratives and what I think is realistic and unrealistic.
Okay.
Okay. So like, let's start with Jokic. Jokic. He's won twice in a row, but and this is not a fair way to put that, but I'm gonna say he flamed out in the playoffs. Like he didn't. He lost to the Warriors. You know, for him to win a third in a row is almost impossible unless he is so dominant.
Right.
And the Nuggets win the one seed by like several games.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he has to completely dominate to get a third in a row. Because I mean, without a title in there, they really don't want to give you a third in a row. They really don't. We saw it with Giannis
Hmm.
after he won 2 in a row, and not to mention he'll have Murray back, so maybe his numbers decline a bit. But
I was
he,
just gonna say that. Yeah,
yeah, and that's fine. I mean, and maybe he ends up being a better player because he's so efficient. So I think he has almost
the
no
team will be
chance
better, I think, because of
unless
him.
people
But
get hurt and there's
right,
not an obvious answer. He
hmm
has almost no chance. 3 in a row is almost impossible. Did
right,
Michael Jordan get 3 in a row? There was a couple. One went to like Malone that shouldn't have. One went
yeah.
to Barkley that,
I
or
don't think he did
right.
get three in a row. Yeah.
So it's almost impossible.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like a voter fatigue almost, right? If you're voting for the
Yeah,
same person over and over, it's they almost tend to look for someone, even if they might
yeah.
not be the best person. Say, oh
I
well,
mean,
we
let's
gave it
be
to this
honest.
guy twice. So,
LeBron should probably have another one that he doesn't out
right?
of fatigue as well.
He has enough.
I know he does, but like,
No, just kidding. Just my
no, but
LeBron
like,
hate for the day.
honestly, give me LeBron over Westbrook that year.
Oh, God, Westbrook's was bad. Yeah,
I know
that
it's
should
between
be.
Harden and Westbrook, but LeBron was actually like fantastic that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um, and they're like, oh, the triple double. And if you pull up the per 48, like actual minutes per 48,
the use,
LeBron was
the right,
averaging a triple double, the
right,
same
right, right.
thing,
The
like,
efficiency,
yeah.
horrible.
I actually think
Yeah.
that should have been LeBron's, but,
Mm.
or Kawhi, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's, Westbrook's my least favorite MVP season pretty much ever in my lifetime that I can remember.
Yeah.
Uh, Usual suspects, but Embiid,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting. But now he has Harden. Is that going to lessen his stock, if you will? Having Harden,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I thought he actually was really close last year.
He was really
Um,
close.
it was kind of between Jokic and Embiid down the line there. Um, Embiid could have easily got it.
Do you know what I think it
So
came down to last year? Jokic, when he was on the floor, the Nuggets were like a net positive, like
mm,
8 points per 100 possessions.
yeah.
Sorry, per 100 possessions. And when
Mm-hmm.
he was off the floor, they were a net -5 or something. They
Mm,
they literally went from one of the best offenses in the league
too
when he's
terrible.
on the floor to the worst offense
And
in
you're
the
talking
league.
about most valuable. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's that was
So
some
I
of the
think that
causes of
I
Steph
think that was the
too. And
difference when that started coming out. You're like,
mm-hmm.
okay, it's Jokic, but
Right.
but Embiid's definitely in the mix again if he can stay
Yeah.
healthy and get those games in. Um, we'll see how much having Harden would hurt his narrative because let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest, MVPs are about narratives.
Right.
I mean stats, but narratives as well.
And that's I think that's why I'm voting for Luca this year. I feel like
I agree.
he was actually a lot of people's picks coming into last year before the two man race of Embiid and Doncic. And he started out so bad last year. He was out of shape, and it was just a really, really bad start for the Mavericks and for him.
Right.
But I feel like he's ready to go. And I feel like, this is like another year in the league, kind of like his mastery of just kind of
He's
like,
so talented.
yeah, his skill level, his mastery of what to, where to go on the floor. Nobody can really guard him. I feel like this could be a year where, if the Mavericks finish top four, even number five, but his
Even without
numbers are just
Brunson,
off the
even without
charts.
Brunson, right?
Right, without Brunson, right? So
That's
he
going to
has a little
add
bit.
to it. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
he lost help, and then he's still carrying it because
I just
he's
feel
so
like,
good, and he's so
yeah,
young still.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like we said, if they were kind of canceling Jokic out because of voter fatigue, and it's between him and somebody else, I feel like Luca's kind of a media darling, a media pick too. So um,
I looked it
yeah, I
up.
feel
Luca is the favorite currently on Vegas Insiders.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I,
mean, he would be my
I
pick as
believe it.
well because he's just so good. He's just
Right.
so good.
Yeah,
Um,
he's gonna win multiple in his career for sure. So it's just a matter of when,
I know he's so
in
young,
my opinion.
so I feel like
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Yep.
Actually, do you want to hear the odds?
Sure.
Um, I'm not going to give you the lines, but just the ranking right now on the odds. Luca first, Embiid second,
Mm.
Giannis third,
Oh Man, we definitely slighted him because he's a
And so,
possibility
I'm
too.
not slighting him at all. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
also goes with the Giannis is probably my pick, and
Mm-hmm.
he won 2 in a row, but he flamed out in the playoffs. I'm using
Mm,
flame out in that generic, Stephen A. Smith, ESPN style phrasing. But then he won the chip, and
yeah.
now that he's won a chip, he's now eligible to win another one. You have to
Mm,
win a chip, or you're not going to get another one. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. Yeah,
So
that's true.
his eligibility is open again.
That's
You agree with
interesting.
that?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's interesting. And
yeah.
I also think one of the reasons I didn't have Giannis as high because I mean he may be the best player on the planet. I feel like I don't know. I wonder if they're going to use a different strategy as far as like trying to limit him a little bit more in the regular
hmm
season and just Milwaukee in
Rest
general.
him for the playoffs.
Right. A Middleton also,
He's
because
still
that really
young, but
killed them
he's
last year.
getting, how old is Giannis? 28,
Yeah, I want
something
to
like
say
that.
27, 28. Yeah, something
Yeah,
in that
I
range.
mean he's
But
still young, but you got to start easing up a bit because he's
right,
a
there's no need to burn
physical,
him out for regular
aggressive
season, you
player.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean I
Um,
do like that. Like Luca or Giannis are my picks as
yeah.
the most likely.
Mm,
Just looking at the odds here. Keep going.
hmm
Kevin Durant. I could see that
Man, that's a
on
dark horse
on a
to me. I mean,
revenge tour. On a revenge tour, just like
I'm not going to say he
I mean,
can't do
Kevin
it.
Durant has that in him. He had the.
Absolutely.
He's like, remember that whole thing? He's like, I'm fucking Kevin Durant. Remember
Yeah,
that?
right,
Like,
right, right.
so
You know who I am?
yeah, yeah. Then they have Jokic, and again, Jokic is not happening. It's just not unless he has to blow everyone out of the water.
Right.
Like, like they have to win. Denver has to win
Number
65
one in the
games,
West. He's got to
65
average
games,
probably what
and
30 points a
everyone, and
game,
it just can't even be
15
close.
rebounds, something
Yeah.
crazy.
So it's just not going to happen. It's just
Yeah.
not. A little high. Tatum. I don't kind of. I don't. I like Tatum, by the way. I just
I
don't.
do
He's
too.
not an
Yeah.
MVP candidate. I mean,
No.
I don't want to say he's not an MVP candidate, but I don't see that happening.
Especially with
uh,
the situation in Boston, we don't know, you know.
yeah. Then Steph Curry. Now this is interesting. He would tie Karl Malone as the oldest MVP in league history if he won
Mm,
at 34, 35. Um,
I don't think he's
so
going
I
to play
mean, I
enough
could.
games.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He is going to rest. He wants another ring. He doesn't care
Right.
about the regular season.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but you never know. I mean, we saw like the year before last when he went off on the final like third of the season, and he came in second to Jokic. So,
Right.
I mean, the petty king could go off, and you never know. Like that could happen. Also, the
I'm never
narrative is
doubting him.
there. The
Right.
narrative is there following winning the championship last year.
Mm,
He has a great narrative.
yeah.
So that is in play. Like I would think
hmm
Curry has a better chance than Jokic, frankly. They have Curry at plus 1,300 odds. Like and for
Mm,
perspective, Luca's plus 450, which is
wow.
good.
Yeah.
Um, then they have Ja Morant, which I could see. I mean, he's a fun, exciting player. I think the word is out a little bit about his defense being an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, although Curry's defense was an issue when he was young and won his first MVP,
True.
he's
Yeah.
actually a great defender now. But it may not matter. But I mean, he's fun. So I could see that. Kawhi Leonard, yeah. I mean, if he's not gonna play enough games.
That's what I was just going to say. It's the same
What's he
thing
gonna
as
play?
Curry, I think,
55,
you know.
55 games?
Actually, he's going to play even less than Curry, in my opinion.
Oh
So,
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So and LeBron, same
Resting the
thing.
back to
Like, come
backs.
on.
Yeah.
I think the best bet on the table that I'm looking at right now is next after LeBron is Zion Williamson plus
Hmm.
2,000.
Wow.
If he's healthy, he's so good when he is healthy. He's so good.
He is. I don't think the Pelicans will be good enough, but
I,
he's that
they looked
good
really
to
good
win.
even without him with CJ McCollum,
They did.
and
They did. Yeah. It's
I'm just
just the
saying
West is so good.
as far as betting odds go. I mean that's
I
not
mean,
crazy. That's not a bad
you might
bet.
as
I
well
might
lay
I
some
might
money
throw a
down
little
on life.
Zion action,
Exactly.
and wouldn't feel bad about it.
Yep.
Devin Booker, no.
Mm-mm.
Um, Trey Young, No. Anthony Davis? No. He's
The
already having health issues,
Yeah, I think
missing
they're going to be resting
preseason
him also,
games. Damian Lillard.
So
I love Dame, but no. Jimmy Butler.
Portland's not even going to make the playoffs,
No.
in my opinion. So, no.
Yeah. So anyway, that's about
No
it.
way.
I mean, I think Luka, Embiid, and uh, who am I missing? Luka, Embiid, and Giannis are the most likely.
Giannis.
That's what I'd
Yeah,
say. If Curry
nice.
plays 70 plus games, leads the Warriors. Also, this turmoil before the season kind of helps the narrative as well. Curry's in
Narrative.
that mix because they would love the oldest MVP and tying Karl
Yeah.
Malone, and so he has that as well. So he'd be like my
Mm-hmm.
fourth slot. So yeah.
Nice.
All right. So next up, you want to do most improved player, which I'm starting to really hate this award. I had big money last year, not big money, but I had a good bet on Jordan Poole. We're going full circle with a Poole to win this because at the end of
should have won.
the year before,
He wasn't even
it was late. He
like
came
in the
back and
top.
came back in the G League. He was in
Yeah.
the G
Right.
League and
Right.
came back and was starting to look really good.
Yeah.
So the season starts, and he has. I mean, and now we're talking like max extension to this guy.
Right.
Are
Right.
you kidding me?
Star.
And they give it to Ja Morant, and you're like, Ja Morant was already an All Star. He was already
Right.
great. Like
Yeah. I
he
thought that
probably
was a
got some
terrible
MVP votes.
terrible
Horrible.
voting on that
I was
last year.
pissed. I was pissed
Yeah.
because like it would have paid out well. I had like
I don't
$100
think he
bucks.
was even.
I had
I don't think he was even
$100
in the
on Jordan
top.
Poole to
Yeah.
win Most Improved Player, and it would have paid out like $2,500.
Wow.
I was so pissed
Oh,
because
so
I
you were
thought it was
really
money
mad.
in the bank. By the end of the season, I was like, "Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?"
He
And
didn't even get in like the top 3 because I remember they put the rankings up. I think
yeah,
it
so
was.
I don't even want to
Yeah, I can't
predict
remember who
this
they.
category because it's stupid. It's clearly
Yeah.
dumb.
Right.
You want to hear the odds? Okay.
Sure. Well, wait. Do you have a pick on this, or are you just kind of?
I don't have a pick on it because it's stupid.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
Jordan Poole was so clearly the most improved player last season
Yeah.
to the point
Right.
that you got Draymond punching in the face.
The only person
do you have a pick?
I was gonna say who I thought was really good, like a rookie who was good, who I think is gonna get better and better, who I could see being most improved, is Evan Mobley. But
Mhm.
I have no idea on this one. Like you said, it's not really a category.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
Everyone's so high on him. Um,
he's gonna be really good, man.
so here's the odds on the top right now. Tyrese Halliburton. I kind of like that actually as a selection. I kind of like that one because
I
he
don't
could take a
what
leap and be really good. Although he's going to be
he's in
fading away in
Indiana.
Indiana, I know.
Yeah, that's my
So under
worry.
the
Is
radar,
like
but he
if
could
he
put
was
up
on a
some
good team,
monster.
yeah,
But he could put up monster numbers, right?
he
And
could. He could.
yeah, so
He's
that's
gonna
why
be their whole
it's a
offense,
dumb award. It's a
really.
dumb award.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
here's
true.
why it's a dumb award. Also, second, Anthony Edwards.
Mm,
Everyone already thinks he's like got MVP potential.
yeah.
Most improved? That seems a little silly to me. Like
Right.
I'm all in on him. I like him.
Oh yeah.
But
He's
like
already a
most
star.
improved, like he's already
Yeah.
a star.
Right.
So and here you go. Zion Williamson is next. Like
Now.
I guess most improved in terms of if you're healthy, you're as good as you were before because you were really
Pretty
good.
much. Yeah.
I do like
I
this
don't
one.
know.
Jalen Brunson coming to the Knicks from the
You
Mavericks
think
out
he's
of
gonna be?
Luca's shadow, and
You think he's
if he
gonna be
goes
better
off,
than he was last year, though? He was
well, he
pretty
could.
good last year.
But he's going to be the man in New York. So I
That's
could
not
totally
always.
see.
That doesn't always make you better, in my opinion. I feel
No,
like
I know,
defenses
but I
can lock
understand
him
that.
more.
But
Yeah.
I understand that. So like I get that.
He
And
could have
actually,
similar or better numbers. Yeah.
ironically, RJ Barrett is 2 slots behind him on the list as well. So another Nick, right?
Interesting.
But I do like this one. And I'm going to base this based on how he played in the playoffs was uh, Tyrese Maxey.
I
He
like
had
that.
a couple games in the playoffs. I was like, damn, like, and that's also
Yeah,
why
he's
I
good.
picked the 76ers as I think my 2 seed in our Eastern Conference
Yep.
preview.
remember
He's
that.
good, and he
Yeah,
really showed something. If we see that throughout the season, that I could see
I like
Maxi.
that.
I
Yeah,
actually,
I
if
like that.
I'm gonna throw money down, I'm gonna go Maxi.
Nice. I
He
like that
could get
pick.
a little shadowed under Embiid and Harden, but maybe
Yeah,
not. Maybe he'll end up emerging as their like big three. And that's, I mean, I
right.
actually think the 76ers, if they won it all this year, that would not surprise me one bit.
They're going to be really good, you know.
Yeah. Uh, Cade Cunningham, wasn't he just rookie of the year?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, and I don't know how much more he's going to do than he did last year, especially in Detroit, so,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Anthony,
I think he's going to be a good player, but
Anthony Simons, people are high on him over in Portland,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Scotty Barnes, I think, is actually a really good bet. At
That is a good pick.
plus 2,800, Scotty Barnes. Everyone in Toronto's, you know, that's why the
They wouldn't
KD
trade him for
trade fell
Durant.
apart. Yeah, exactly. So I think Scotty Barnes is probably a good bet right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, and on and on. LaMelo Ball, Jordan Poole.
Is
Jordan
LaMelo
Poole,
Ball even
like
going to play
how
this year?
could Jordan Poole win it this year after he should have won it last year and then
Right.
didn't? So
Yeah.
you know, that one bothers me. I'm bitter about that trade. It was a good bet. It was a great bet, and I won the
He
bet,
should have
but I
won
got
or at
fucked.
least been, top 2. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I got fucked on the bet. I was like, that was the
You're
right
still thinking
bet.
about that bet.
I'm upset. Like, Ja Morant was
Yeah, I would
already
have been
really
mad.
good. He was already really good. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
100%.
Let's go rookie of the year. Honestly, I find rookie of the year really boring because maybe the best player who's a rookie won't get they get drafted to a better team. They don't get all the
Mm,
time or the ball or the minutes or all that stuff, right?
yeah.
And so I mean it's well with Chet Holmgren getting hurt, which is such a bummer. It's
Yeah,
going to
that
be
was
Blanchero probably, right?
right. Bencaro. I'm not sure how you say his name,
Oh,
but
I say it wrong.
yeah, I
Blanchero,
I
yeah,
I think
Paulo Blanchero.
he's definitely the one between him and Holmgren. Those were the two in summer league who definitely made your eyes
And
pop. And you're
Holmgren's
just like,
out for
oh
the
my
whole
god,
year.
yeah, that was a bummer, and it was in like not even a real game. I mean, summer league aren't real games in either, but this was
It was
like a
the
Seattle
it was
pro
the
am.
Patrick Beverly
Yeah,
thing.
right, right. So I mean, for him to get injured like that, in a game that doesn't mean anything, is real tough. But he's gonna be good. He's gonna be really good. I think next year when he comes back, that'll be a real battle of those two guys for a
Yeah.
long time to come. But yeah, I think
Rookie of the year
Banchero's
is
got in
really,
the bag.
really, to me, it's really boring in the NBA because it's usually somebody on the bad team, and they're
Right.
getting their time and whatever. So moving on from that, more so, we're far more interested in next season's rookies to be
Mm,
Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson, right?
mm.
Those two
Yep.
guys. And Wembanyama, that was in Vegas, that Vegas game they played
Yeah.
just
Yep.
last week.
Against each other.
And
It
oh
was
my,
actually a really good game.
I
It
heard the
was
hype.
really
I heard
competitive.
the hype and I hadn't seen it. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, everyone's going to. And I saw the highlights and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
He's Wembanyama. I'm like, he's 18 and he's seven. I'm going to say he's 7'5" by NBA standards because they actually measure you wearing your shoes.
Right.
Yeah. So he's 7'5", seven
Yeah.
four and a half, seven
I
five,
think they showed.
and he's got a handle, and
Yeah.
he's hitting fadeaways from
Dude,
three, and
somebody who's over
and
7 foot. I mean, I
he's
know
just dunking
Durant
over
does.
people.
He's not supposed to move like that, man. It's ridiculous. I mean, the
It,
hesitation
it's
moves, the dribble, the
he made me think of
threes.
Durant. He made me think of Durant,
Yeah.
but a little more so with that height and the reach and
Yeah.
the oh man, like
Well, who's
LeBron called him
contesting
an
his shot?
alien. He called him the
Yeah.
alien, right? And like he's not joking. Clearly the best prospect since LeBron. Clearly.
Oh yeah. And there was already hype on him coming into that game.
I
A
know,
lot of
and I saw
yeah.
the clips, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
Every team, I mean, obviously not every team's gonna tank to try and get him, but every team is now like, oh, Like, you know what I mean? That's the next biggest thing. So.
Well, and that's what I want to talk about is, well, so Scoot Henderson is also in the G League and he's legit too. Like in any other
Yeah.
year, he's a walkaway #1 pick, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
everyone knows it's 1 and 2. Like it's
Right.
done. Everyone knows
Right.
1 and 2. That's it. So if you're tanking, especially with how they've changed the odds,
yeah.
If there's just one guy, tanking is kind of not very feasible or smart. But when there's
Right.
two guys, your odds increase exponentially.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, going all in. If we don't get Wembanyama, we get Scoot Henderson, and he looks like a badass too. Like not to be overshadowed, right? I think we're gonna see, and I love the play-in because it makes teams, compete at the end and go for the play-in and all that. But if your team is, do you want a 10th seed play-in, or do you want to crack at one of these two guys?
Utah, Orlando, all these really
But it's
bad
not
teams.
even them. Those guys we know those teams
OKC.
are at the bottom. We're talking about the teams on the cusp. Are you going to
that are
fight
going
at
to drop
the?
back. Yeah.
Are you going to fight at the end of the season, or increase your percentage odds of getting one of these two guys?
I think
if I had a team on the cusp, I'd be like, let's tank and let's go after these guys. At least roll the dice. I mean, Wembanyama looks amazing. He really does. I thought it was overhyped, and then seeing the highlights,
he does.
It was
He
like,
looks amazing. I think
he looks like a 6'5" guard with a ball in his hand, and then all of a sudden he reaches out, and you're like, oh my god, he's so big.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's
I
definitely
was
gonna be a
blown
race to the
away.
bottom.
Yeah. People have argued that
Hopefully,
he's a bigger prospect than LeBron. I think that's a hyperbole a bit because LeBron lived up to his hype and everything too. Remember LeBron cover of Sports Illustrated in high school.
Right. Had the Nike deal at 18 or whatever it was, which
Yeah.
his son just got a Nike deal, by the way, too. I don't know if you saw that. Bronny.
Is there somewhere I can buy stock in Wembanyama though? Can I buy stock? Oh my god.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't
here's
like
the
tanking.
thing I will say about this.
But
He's 7'5". He's lanky, but he actually doesn't look any skinnier, and he's only 18 than like Kevin Durant. Those tall guys get injured, like you're always worried about
I
health.
was just gonna say that. I worry about injuries.
Whereas
foot injuries.
LeBron looked like LeBron just came in, he looked like a linebacker, and you're like, he's gonna be fine, right?
Right.
So no one was worried about LeBron staying healthy. Like you're like, that guy looks built to last, right? Like just thick, right? I don't know, but Wembanyama though, he doesn't look. Actually, he looks less lanky than Durant in his own way.
Yeah,
and he's only 18, so he's going to fill out.
I'm not sure of his weight, but yeah, I mean, and I think his game is a little more suited to being, kind of like an outside the paint player a little bit more. So maybe he won't take as much punishment as.
Oh, he looks pretty damn good in the paint too. I mean, I saw a couple. He was just throwing down on guys, right?
Yeah.
Long arms, like he was like outside the box, and he like reaches and just dunks it. And you're like,
Space Jam.
How do you dunk it from there? So, I mean, that's gonna be really interesting. That's gonna be a major narrative at the end of this season. Is like,
I think we're gonna start hearing that. We're gonna start hearing that at the beginning of the season. Yeah,
I think we're hearing like February, like a team.
Yeah,
like oh yeah, because I mean,
once you see what the standings are.
He's the most exciting prospect since LeBron for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I was all in on KD before Greg Oden. I was like, how are people picking Greg Oden over KD? Like, are you kidding? And I know 2020 hindsight, but I said this at the time.
Yeah.
But this feels different. He's I like. And is that gonna be his nickname? Like from LeBron? It's gonna be like he's the alien. Or
the alien, yeah. I think the sky's the limit for him. It'll be interesting to see which team actually gets him, and some of these guys get stuck in bad team hell for the first contract and then try and get out. But I think whatever team gets him, that's going to be a big improvement, and he's gonna make his mark on the league for sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, if my team was towards the bottom, I'd be like, let's just tank and get one of these guys. Scoot Henderson looks really good.
Or get Scoot. Yeah, exactly.
He's the first big I feel like, is he going to be the first big name coming out of the G League? No college. I mean, they only established
I
the G
mean,
League firmly a couple years ago, right? At this point,
right.
but in,
There's
you know,
been players
he's
that have
not at Kentucky
been
for
in
a
the G
one-off.
League that have been big, yeah, but maybe like this big where it's like, a generational talent. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
I'm
agree
trying
with
to think
that.
who came out of the G League who went there straight. Like, I'd have to do some
Um,
research. I actually don't know, but
yeah,
anyway,
that's true.
he sticks out. But I mean, he looks really good too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch. Hopefully the Warriors aren't in contention for him, but
yeah, I'm not worried about
but
that.
no, but it's gonna be fun to see the panicking and the draft night is gonna be real fun for that, right? That the lottery picks and all that. So
Right. Well, bringing this full circle, I feel like the Warriors need to. They're gonna have to choose two of three: Draymond, Poole, and Wiggins. And I think we're on the same page where we've said Steph and Clay, Warriors for life, done,
mhm.
done. It's just that's it, done. And we always said if someone from the trio is going to go, it's Draymond, right? Um,
Yeah,
if you're the Warriors, if you have to choose between those two of the three, do you take Poole and Wiggins over Draymond? I hate to say it, but I think that's the right move.
I I I I mean I don't know that they're gonna rush to make that choice.
They have to next
It
year.
it may come down to that just because of payroll. I think what they're gonna try and do is
Wiggins is
with
young still, by
Draymond,
the way.
especially now with Draymond, is hey, you're not getting maxed out, buddy. Sorry, you know.
He never was. He never was.
Well, I think you could have said
No, he never was.
before.
They're like, go try
No,
the market. Oh, did the
right,
Sacramento Kings want to max you out? Cool. Like,
right, and he's not going to do that.
he's going to have
Um,
to take a hometown discount to stay, and
right,
it sucks. Like,
and uh,
mean,
and
again, I'm a big
it might
Draymond
not be a
defender,
4 or 5 year contract. It might be we'll give you 2 years at less than your max. You
oh, it's not
know,
going to be a 5 year contract.
no,
It might be a 3 year contract,
right,
325, three for 75, or
right.
three for 90, maybe. I don't know. I'm
Well,
not
and
even
I
sure what they're
think
allowed to do with all the salary cap stuff.
yeah,
To be
the
honest, at this
max.
point.
Well, and it depends what Poole's extension is. It depends what they do with Wiggins, also, right? Like
Yeah.
these all factor in. Um, I just feel like if you are saying goodbye to Draymond at some point, which at this point I have no idea. I would have said 3 months ago I would have said I don't see it. There's no way he's in the core, everything else. But I think that you know at the very least I think he cost himself some real money with this altercation. Um,
I definitely think that.
I think that it makes them kind of think twice about you know, maxing him out or, even getting close to that. And, you know, they're going to say, well, there's, kind of like list down obviously they know what he brings to him on the court. And, but, there's some other things that come with him as well. And I think they're going to factor that into the contract he's offered.
Well, and that's
So,
also, what are other teams going to offer and
right.
that value. So
Right. Because what is he worth to another team compared to what he's worth to the Warriors?
there are certain teams he would work on. I mean, you know, he'd probably work well in Portland with Dame, doing
Right.
what he has done for Steph over all these years for Dame. I could see that.
Right.
Um, but it's hard to say. But if you're the Warriors, I mean, and I hate to say it, but like you have to make the decision. Wiggins has really come into his own, and he's only 27. He's 5 years
Yeah.
younger than Draymond.
Right.
I mean, technically, your
I
prime
just
isn't supposed to start until 26, 25, 26.
yeah.
So,
I just my thing with completely losing Draymond is I don't see how you replace that defensive anchor. I mean, you have good defenders.
Oh, he's the
Wiggins is a good
quarterback on
defender,
defense, no doubt, for sure.
right?
No, I know. I
Looney's a
mean,
good defender, but you're not
he
playing
doesn't get
him,
enough credit
30
for
plus minutes a game.
shifting people around. You go here, like stuff that does not show up in the box score. That's why I
And
said like
he makes up,
box score
yeah,
watchers
right,
hate Draymond, and that's because they don't actually watch games. Like
right.
if you
And
think
he makes
Draymond
up
sucks,
for a lot of
you suck and you don't watch games,
deficiencies.
and you need to shut the
Yeah,
fuck up.
right,
It drives me crazy.
right. He's a game changer on that end, and he makes up for a lot of deficiencies.
And
If you
on the
have
offensive side,
guards who are great.
driving into the perimeter, driving in, kicking it out, like
Hmm.
he does his screen game. He's one of the best
Oh
screeners of
yeah,
all time.
his
Yeah,
passing's
one of
underrated.
the best screeners ever, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, and his
yeah.
passing too.
So
So it's
I
tough.
would be.
I don't even know. Is there a way to keep all of them? Maybe. I feel like it's not going to happen. But
I think they're depending on what they can get. Like I said, if because I know like Tyler Hero just signed a huge extension, and they were saying, well, that might set the market for
for
what Poole
Jordan
gets.
Poole, yeah,
So it depends what they can get Poole at. Which after this whole thing, maybe they have to pay a little more than they would have liked to. Maybe they could have kind of bargained with him a little bit. But I think he's also at the point where he feels super confident and feels like he's can contribute anywhere and is going to say, you know what, I want every dollar I can get, and I wouldn't hate him for it. Um, so it's going to be real interesting. I think there's a way they can do it, but it's going to take Draymond taking a cut, Wiggins taking less than he could probably get, and Poole not getting maxed out. So it's
yeah.
it's it's going to be and I don't know if
The good thing is we
Lacob's
don't
going
have
to
to
want
worry
to do
about
all
this
that.
until next year, really. But
Yeah, right.
it might linger. But
Oh, it could definitely linger, and I think they want to get at
I
least
think
one of
I
them
said I
locked
think
up
the Poole
now.
deal is going to happen in the next 2 weeks.
I could see that. I could see that, especially after everything that's happened.
Everything that's
Just
happened.
lock him in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna be like okay.
So yeah, it's gonna
So
be interesting for sure. And this is all us predicting just based on things how they are now. What happens if there's another incident, or if there's you know what I mean? If there's more ripples in the
if there's another
that
incident,
relationship.
Draymond will be traded. That's what would happen.
I mean, yeah. I don't think you would have a choice, because I
Yeah.
think you could lose the whole locker room if you say, oh well, we're going to keep this guy around, so
Yeah.
it's up to him. He's got a. I know he said he's a flawed person, and was talking about how he's working on it and things like that, and that's good. The fact that he can say that and recognize that, and obviously speaks very well. He's got his own
Yeah.
podcast. He's able to articulate his thoughts. But if you
I'm
don't
I'm pretty sure they
change,
said don't talk about this in your podcast.
I hope
Not
so.
yet. Not yet.
I
Because he
hope
hasn't
so.
said a
I
word.
don't know if you saw.
He
I
hasn't
think
said
it
a
was
word.
a day after the incident. He put a podcast out, but it wasn't recorded before.
It was like Patrick Beverly or whatever.
Patrick Beverly, yeah.
Yeah.
Even
No,
that, I
so
was
he
kind of like,
hasn't even touched on it yet. So
yeah. I just thought the timing on it. I was like, buddy, you probably shouldn't be,
well, he didn't touch
posting
it,
anything.
so that's fine.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, but yeah, it's really gonna be up to him, and he might just feel like at a certain point, if he feels like he has to walk around on eggshells, or if he feels like he's not being treated the way he wants to be treated, he could decide to move on on his own, and say, "Get me out of here." I think we're
Yeah.
a ways from that, but with
We'll see.
with
Back to
him
the
and with that
season, and
incident,
winning
you never know.
cures everything.
Yeah,
That's what I think is going
right.
to happen.
Yeah, if we start out, 20-3, you know what I mean?
I
Whatever it
think we're going to
is,
start out red hot. That's what I think is going to happen.
I could see
It's
that.
gone.
I could see that. I think
Almost in a self-aware sense of like, if we just start out red hot, it's all gone and done with, and that's
yeah,
that. And I could see that
yeah,
happening. I could see Curry being like, "I'm just going to make this go away," and just going off.
yeah,
So
yeah. Like you said, winning cures all. I think
yeah.
I think it. I think a lot depends on, is Draymond getting suspended for a week into the season? We haven't heard anything yet. That could change a start.
Opening games not
'cause-
for a week, and I
yeah,
don't know. It's we'll see what happens.
yeah. yeah,
So
it's we're all just guessing at this point.
I'm excited
So,
for games to start again. So let's go.
oh, I'm ready, man. What
Yeah,
are we, a week away?
yeah,
Yeah, next week.
yeah.
Wow. It's going to be great. We'll have some actual
They're gonna host the
gameplay for this season to
Lakers
talk
to
about.
watch them get their rings.
Yep. LeBron and you know, LeBron playing against the Warriors is always he gets up for those games even if he's
Oh,
not
he
on a great
does.
team. It's always like
Oh, he
LeBron's
does.
ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, should be fun.
All right. Well, I think we kind of covered it.